Wrongly labelled a shoplifter by a supermarket AI camera. We hear concerns about facial recognition technology in stores.
A shoplifter does not walk around with that much shopping. They don't scan it through, they don't put the nectar card through.
Sainsbury's has apologised but says it's being used to tackle shoplifting and assaults. Also tonight, tributes to a 12-year-old boy who drowned in the River Lee near Hackney Marshes at the weekend. Plus, a fully qualified but can't find a job. London nursing graduates tell us how they're struggling to find work. Hello and good evening to you. First tonight, the rise in shoplifting and attacks on retail staff, which have made headlines here in the capital. And there's been increasing surveillance to help tackle such crimes. However, one supermarket branch in southeast London has paused its use of AI and facial recognition cameras after a customer was wrongly challenged and asked to leave. Sainsbury's claim the mistake was caused by human error and has apologised. But critics have called for the facial recognition technology to be scrapped. Lakshmi Gopal reports from East Dulwich.
Matt's regular Sainsbury's shopping trip turned into a humiliating ordeal when staff stopped him at the self-service till and escorted him off the premises after wrongly identifying him as a shoplifter flagged by facial recognition software.
Once I got over the initial sort of shock and embarrassment, I was actually quite concerned because I think this could happen to anyone. A shoplifter does not walk around with that much shopping. They don't scan it through, they don't put the nectar card through. What I was worried about and what actually really kind of upset me was like just thinking this is what the future could be. People just listen to what the machine tells them to do and they don't think about the consequences. And I think that's quite dystopian, it's quite worrying.
The system is supplied by technology firm FaceWatch.
FaceWatch is here demonstrating how live facial recognition works.
Here they are showcasing the software at the London XL.
What's happening now is as I walk through, the camera has checked my face against a database of known offenders and it's created a match and it will have sent an alert to a device that normally would be handheld and in a store.
Sainsbury's began using the system last year to fight rising theft and growing abuse towards staff. In 2025, shoplifting in England and Wales reached its highest level in over 20 years, though it's fallen slightly since. But live facial recognition has led to some issues, and the East Dulwich branch of Sainsbury's has paused its use after this latest incident.
This is a really shocking story, but unfortunately it's not the first and it won't be the last, because live facial recognition cameras are now being used across all of Sainsbury's stores. And whilst I really welcome that they've paused it in East Dulwich, I'm afraid I think they're doing that because the BBC is reporting on this one man's experience. If they took it really seriously, they would be stopping live facial recognition across all of their stores.
Sainsbury's say they've apologised to Matt and that the incident was caused by human error, not the facial recognition technology. They add that the FaceWatch system has a 99.98% accuracy rate and that every match is reviewed by a trained manager. They also say while trialling the technology, theft, aggression and antisocial behaviour halved in their stores and they're continuing its rollout. Meanwhile, last Tuesday, a trial of live facial recognition cameras began at some stations. And the Met Police are planning to expand their use even further next year, as it remains a precarious balance between public safety and personal privacy and the risk of innocent people being wrongly targeted. Lakshmi Gopal, BBC London.
A 12-year-old boy has drowned in northeast London. He got into difficulty in the River Lee near the Hackney Marshes at the weekend. It took 6 hours of searching before rescue divers recovered his body. Our reporter Harry Lowe sent this report from the scene.
It was just after 6 o'clock on Saturday evening that the 12-year-old boy went into the River Lee here next to Hackney Marshes, and shortly thereafter the London Fire Brigade were alerted and sent rescue teams. Some 6 hours later, just after midnight, Metropolitan Police divers recovered the 12-year-old boy and he was very sadly pronounced dead at the scene. The Metropolitan Police says it is treating the death as unexpected and that his family is being supported by specialist officers.
John was on duty at the local sports centre on Saturday night when he spotted emergency workers.
There's a pathway that literally goes by the side where people run, walk their dogs and that. There's big opening areas like this where people will have their barbecues and stuff. There's a lake that runs miles, so Yeah, but it's just sad news. My heart goes out to the family and stuff like that. It's not something that you want to hear. Like, it really hits you. I went home that night and then I was like talking to my wife and told her what happened. And it just really affects you, especially when you look at your own kids and that, and it's just not what you want to hear.
Walk alongside the River Lee and you quickly see why Londoners flock here to cool down, particularly during this summer of relentless heat waves. But the official advice is that you should not go in any rivers or waterways.
This is the third boy to drown this summer, and there's now been more than 100 accidental drownings across London since 2020. Here in Hackney, tributes have started to appear.
One says you will be missed by everyone forever. Another simply says, life is beautiful, I will never forget you.
Harry Lowe, BBC London.
It's good to have you with us this Monday evening. Coming up later in the programme.
I'm at Dulwich Sports Ground, and the dry weather has caused cracks in the ground to appear that are so deep they've had to cancel some children's sports clubs here.
A vigil is being held tonight in the capital for Professor Jason Arday, who was found dead at his home in Battersea on Friday. He'd recently stepped down from his role at Cambridge University, having faced weeks of media coverage over plagiarism allegations and questions about his personal achievements, claims he denied. He became the university's youngest black professor when appointed in 2023. Well, Daniel Sanford is in Trafalgar Square for us this evening with more. Hi, Daniel.
Hi, Riz. The demonstration here tonight is probably 2,000 or 3,000 people, but they're saying it's not really a demonstration, it is a vigil. People were asked to come here wearing black, carrying flowers if possible, and they've been the proceedings started with a minute's silence as people remembered Professor Jason Arday, and then heard first of all from his MP Balrabera Addy and from Diane Abbott. And although the mood is sombre here tonight, there is also quite a lot of anger and defiance. In one of the speeches tonight, it was said that wicked, vicious, evil people had dragged Jason Arday's name through the mud, and the focus is very much on the media, not on Cambridge University, which had started the investigation into Jason Arday and from where ultimately he resigned, but on the media who had exposed day after day after day allegations of fantasism, of plagiarism and bits of his story which didn't seem to add up. And I think that the sense here is that that had gone far too far against a vulnerable man.
OK. Daniel from Trafalgar Square, many thanks. That's Daniel Sanford reporting there. Now to the nursing graduates in London, fully qualified but struggling to find jobs here in the capital. The number of students accepted on courses last year was almost 3 times the entry-level jobs advertised. The Royal College of Nursing describes it as an unprecedented employment bottleneck that must be urgently addressed. The government says work is being done to improve opportunities for graduates. Tolu Adeoye has been speaking to one soon-to-be nursing graduate from Welling.
This one, that's in Bristol. There's not really many jobs that I could apply for, or I could apply for them, but I'd have to relocate.
Isabel is about to qualify as a nurse and has been applying for jobs for the last couple of months. She's growing increasingly concerned about how few entry-level nursing jobs there are in London.
Majority of the band 5 jobs are like up north, so Manchester, Bradford, which is obviously okay if you want to relocate. But, you know, you've trained in London, you've helped people from all different backgrounds. You don't then want to go to another area and have to learn about that clientele and that group of people again and start your whole life again.
As of March 2026, NHS stats show that the registered nursing vacancy rate stood at 5% nationally. That's more than 21,000 positions. So why can it be hard to get hired?
Newly qualified nurses typically apply for entry-level band 5 jobs, but more of these are now asking for more experience that a new graduate just wouldn't have.
On top of that, the number of roles has dropped sharply, particularly in London, from more than 4,700 in 2019 to 20 to just over 1,500 in 2024 to 2025, a decline of 67%. Conversely, the number of students accepted onto courses is rising, going from 3,650 in 2023 to 4,275 last year. The Royal College of Nursing says the profession is facing an unprecedented employment bottleneck. With a new Prime Minister in place, the union is calling on the government to publish its delayed NHS workforce plan, which would map out staffing needs over the next decade.
We know that the system is under significant pressures. We know that the NHS trusts have had to tighten their belts, and what we've seen then is that means that there are less jobs available out there. So there's less movement in NHS trusts, so less people are going up the employment ladder. So there's less vacancies for those new qualified nurses.
The Department for Health and Social Care says it's working closely with partners to improve employment opportunities for graduates. It says the NHS workforce plan will be published in due course. Isabel hopes all her hard work will eventually pay off. Tolu Adeoye, BBC London.
A brief look at some of the day's other news. Charing Cross and Waterloo East stations have reopened today after a 3-week closure for major engineering works. Network Rail replaced more than a mile of track and carried out repairs to Hungerford Bridge. But both stations will close once again this Sunday for final checks. And a man in his 60s was injured in the chest by a deer in Richmond Park on Saturday. They are not said to be life-threatening. The stag was later put down. Royal Parks have warned visitors to stay at least 50 metres from the animals and not to feed them. Next, we know it's one of the biggest challenges in the capital, finding an affordable place to live. Well, building your own home might seem ambitious, but could it also be appealing and more affordable if you're struggling to get on the housing ladder or keep up with the rent? Anna O'Neill has been to find out more.
I've come to Enfield to find out about a new housing project, which feels like a self-build, but where most of the hard work is already done.
I'm Simon Shufo from Naked House, one of the co-founders, which we founded 10 years ago, and we're here today to have a look around the site.
With the average London property costing more than £500,000 and even a flat costing more than £400,000, a home on a site like this is at least 20% cheaper.
The starting prices are £265,000. The bigger homes go up to around £330,000, which sounds a lot, but again, it is affordable for two incomes.
This isn't exactly a self-build, it's a custom build where the shell of the house is built for you and then you add the flooring and plaster the walls if you want to.
It's got a very kind of bare aesthetic, you know, the walls are block work, there's a very basic kitchen, so there's huge opportunity for people to put their stamp on a place.
The Naked House project took 10 years to get off the ground, but it took its inspiration from another self-build project back in 1990s Lewisham.
This is a 2-bed like mine. 3 beds have an extra room on the
the back
extra
there.
Bit there. And this is a Benin Warrior. Benin Warrior kind of symbolises the fact that we believe coming together as a community, that's where your strength is. So here we come. We use a post and beam. You don't use this anymore, but this is post and beam. You make the frames on the ground and then you push them out. It's much easier for non-professionals to use.
Tim built one of 13 houses through a black-led housing cooperative. He doesn't own it, but it comes with an assured tenancy and a 30% discount in rent for life. Tighter regulations mean self-building these days is harder, but people are still coming up with creative ways to tackle the housing crisis.
I think we're all trying to address the idea of community and sustainability. That's what people want from housing, and sometimes that stuff gets lost with the big house builders.
Anna O'Neill, BBC London.
And we'll be sharing more stories of people living in alternative ways throughout the summer here on BBC London. If you want to see those films in full, just head over to the BBC London YouTube channel. After weeks of hot weather and no rain, despite a few brief showers last night, some sports clubs in London are looking at delaying the start of the football and rugby season as they don't think the pitches will be safe enough for players. Ground staff have been doing what they can to make the pitches usable, but in some places, children's clubs are being cancelled. Bryony Williams is at one sports ground for us tonight with more. Hi there.
Hi, yes, as you mentioned, we have had a bit of a spattering of rain, but many green spaces in London still look like this. Here at Dulwich Sports Ground, because of the arid conditions, huge cracks have started to appear in the ground. Some of them are fairly deep and it's causing lots of problems for the staff here. John, you're part of the team that looks after the grounds. So tell me what's happened over the past few weeks.
It's been a challenging few weeks, months, without rain. Our surfaces, which are clay-based, are causing us all sorts of playing problems. Our ground staff have been trying to put soils and sands into the cracks, but it's a very difficult task and they're working in conditions that are a heat wave. It's been very hard.
Because you can't use hose pipes here.
We can use them on the squares, but we've got 4 cricket squares, but our outfields are not covered and we've got 34 acres of ground. Impossible.
And Prasanna, you play cricket for a local team. Have you ever seen conditions like this?
No, I have been. I've been playing over 22 years. I've never seen something like this. My ground is across the road, and we use regularly this ground. And we got 600 juniors used here. And as you can see, if I put my bat on it, it's how dangerous this can be. So the kid's foot can easily go in, and the ball can hit the crack and deviate easily.
And you've had to cancel some of their practice.
Yeah, we're lucky we come to a back end of the season now, but yes, we need to cancel a few games to manage the risk.
And, you know, this is just cricket that we're talking about now, but we've got football, rugby coming up. How is it going to be fixed by then?
We've 3 weeks to the end of the cricket season, and then 2 weeks after that, football starts and rugby starts on conditions like this. The local leagues are saying to us, how many pitches have we got? We can offer them 2 rather than 8. It's going to be very difficult and probably means a late start winter sports.
And even if we do get some rain, this isn't going to get fixed overnight, is it?
It certainly isn't. And we don't want torrential rain. We want a few days of steady rain, and hopefully we can get some green back into Dulwich.
Because actually some of these cracks are really quite deep. So to fix any of this is going to be a slow, long-term process.
It certainly is, and no umpire or referee is at all pleased at these playing surfaces. Our ground staff are doing their best, and it's not just here, it's at all clubs across South London.
Well, there we go. It's that steady rain that we need to make sure that this yellow grass can turn green again and people can come back to their sports clubs.
Absolutely. Well, staying with sport, and the biggest in the US, American football, dominated by the NFL, but with very few British players. However, perhaps there is something in the water here in the capital, because South London is certainly making its mark. As one player raised in Streatham, who's played at the highest level for a decade, announces his retirement, he passes the torch to a fellow Londoner about to begin his first season with the Miami Dolphins. Chris Legg has the story.
Why did you feel the time was right to hang up the pads?
Honestly, my cup's full. I've achieved a lot. I'm very fortunate to play in the NFL for 10 years, and now I'm just committed into the next chapter.
Abada has launched this foundation right next to where he grew up in Streatham. There's no doubting the passion or talent for American football in this part of the capital. And as his career comes to an end, another South Londoner is just about to embark on his own NFL dream.
Got his flag there from the UK draped over his shoulders.
Born and raised in London, Seydou Traoré has recently been drafted by Miami Dolphins.
Whenever me and Efe would talk, he would always kind of mention how he's trying to hand down the torch to me, which I felt was very inspirational. I mean, seeing what he's done, where he's brought the game, and the amount of people he's inspired from back home is insane.
I think it was something that we prepared for, but we didn't know what we were preparing for. And I was in trance. I was out of my body and I was like, oh my God, it's happening.
Chris Slegg, BBC London.
OK, well, the weather continues to be a talking point. Here's Gillian with how the week's shaping up.
Hello there, a very good evening to you. We've had plenty of cloud around today, but actually a bit of brightness. Earlier on, we did see a little bit of that sunshine coming through, but the clouds really been starting to build as we've gone through this afternoon. So plenty more of that building as we head through this evening and into tonight. So we are going to notice that cloud thickening. There'll be an increase, and we are also likely to get a few light showers under that cloud eventually as we head through tonight. So this is our setup. It's this cold front that's going to drop its way south and east through this evening and tonight. That will bring the cloud and some bits and pieces of rain. Now, I don't think it'll be particularly heavy, and for most of us, we'll actually start dry as we head through this evening. We might get some sunshine to end the evening, but again, that cloud really builds quite quickly. Quite a warm night to come, though. We could still have temperatures around 19 degrees in some spots, but of course, the added addition of a shower not out of the question. That front will slowly clear first thing tomorrow. It will give us a little bit of brightness before that cloud builds back in again. So I do think quite overcast generally as we head through tomorrow, but still a pretty warm day, highs of 26 degrees, but more of a notable westerly wind through the course of the day. And through tomorrow evening, once again, no huge change, quite a bit of cloud. And again, we are going to see some further outbreaks of rain moving through into Wednesday. So you might get a heavier burst within that. Still quite warm, 14 to 17 degrees. And you'll notice we have another couple of weather fronts that are going to move through during the middle part of the week. So this is where we are going to see a bit more rain, a few showers. Some of those might be heavy on Thursday, but still some sunny spells, scattered showers through Wednesday as well, some patchy cloud. So a bit of a mixed day ahead for Wednesday, and the temperature's still sort of mid-20s actually across the board. We've still got that brisk westerly wind as well as we head into Wednesday. This is the outlook. So over the next few days, you'll start to see those temperatures really start to come down, slightly below average in some spots, and along with some showers, we'll see some sunny spells as well.
Well, as our open spaces and gardens eagerly await some rain, you can check out the aerial images of London on our Instagram, showing just how parched the ground is, as if you need a reminding. From me and everyone on the BBC London team, thanks very much for watching. I'll see you at the same time tomorrow.